how we transfer skills, knowledge and expertise from some of the oil and gas industry in Scotland is a great example of how we've transferred some of the knowledge and expertise from oil and gas, fossil fuel industry into the renewable energies industry. Now it's about how we then export that expertise out and look at how we use the skills and expertise that we have to work in collaboration with developing countries who are looking to develop renewable energies. The second thing is about thinking about the next generation of kids coming through. What sort of aspirational jobs, ambitions do they have to contribute to this agenda? So in Scotland, for example, we're looking at the 11 to 14-year-old population right now, and we're saying, well, great to be a lawyer, great to be an accountant, great to be a doctor, but what about engineering? What about skills in the renewable energy sector? How are we making sure that we are getting the right mindsets and ambition in place for the young folks coming through right now who have the tons of potential to actually contribute massively to this industry? So it's a really important thing to think strategically about, both within countries but also in terms of knowledge transfer.
I'm afraid our time is very nearly up. I'm a very simple person, really, and I like to go down to a more practical level of things. What it boils down to essentially is human behavior, whether it's the consumer at home or the policy maker in the corridors of power in government. It's about our behavior and our decisions, isn't it, really? And I'd like to just share two little stories about human behavior. A hotel decided to find out how to get more guests to recycle their towels, to use them again, instead of just chucking them and have them washed. So they said, you know, this traditional one of, you know, we've all had it. Please don't leave the towel on the floor if you want to use it again, and so on. You know that, right? We've all seen it. Another hotel decided, it could have been the same hotel actually, they said the person in the room next to you used their towel for 3 days before handing it in to be washed, okay? And the number of people who decided to do that increased slightly. Then they changed the message and they said the person in room 106, so they named, they defined the room, which was the one next door, decided to use the towel for 3 days, and the interaction went up again. Then the last one they used was the person who stayed in your room 105 used their towel for an entire week before handing it in, and that shot up because it seems that human beings, you know, they wanted to relate back to them. Oh, I'm staying in this room. Oh, he or she did this. I can do that, right? A utilities company in the US sent out bills with a good, bad, and ugly rating, depending on consumption of that household. So well done, you've done very well. You consumed much less than everybody in your neighborhood, and they told them how much by. The behavior pattern was such that people who were in the very good category started using more electricity and water because they thought, well, I'm really good, I can't be bothered to turn the light off anymore. Again, human behavior. So the utilities company then decided to do one more experiment where they just sent 3 faces, a smiley face, a very straight-lined face, and a sad face. And you were told through these faces where you stood. Well done, you've got the smiley face, you have consumed, you've done very well. The sad face said, basically, you've consumed a lot more than your neighbors, but there was no ratio. You couldn't see what the average consumption was or wasn't. And the behavior pattern in those communities was such that everybody wanted to be a smiley face because they couldn't see how much they were consuming related to the next person. I don't really know what that says about us as human beings. I hope it gives us some scope to work with and to build a better future for us and our children. As you say, Anne, it's about the future and the future generations. So please, think smiley face from now on, and thank you very much for being here.
I would like to welcome you to the Investment Showcase event at the Annual Investment Meet in 2011, which is being organized by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development and the Ministry of Foreign Trade of the United Arab Emirates. This afternoon, you will hear from 4 countries: Malaysia, who is right now with me on the podium, Kenya, Morocco, and Uzbekistan. on the many investment opportunities which are available in these 4 countries. Of particular interest to you, particularly, I would mention the tourism sector in all 4 countries, also agriculture, and a very important sector, and processing, for example, in Kenya, Malaysia, and Morocco, and infrastructure in all 4 countries, natural resources extraction, particularly in Morocco and Uzbekistan. All these 4 countries with which UNCTAD has worked, particularly I would mention Kenya and Morocco and Uzbekistan, have been the beneficiaries of the investment guides program of UNCTAD, and we also take this opportunity to launch the investment guide to Morocco today. It's available actually just at the entrance. There are copies available. So allow me to say a few words about our investment guides. These reports were started, actually this program was started by UNCTAD and the International Chamber of Commerce in 1999 in order to bring the opportunities and conditions in developing countries and least developed countries to the attention of the global investment community. I'm very happy to say that since then we have managed to publish some 20 guides. In some cases, some of these guides actually have been updated. And they have proved to be very popular with the investment community, and actually they are in high demand from government and the private sector. The value of these guides really lies in their providing a balanced and objective account of investment conditions in each country. The value of these guides also lies in their providing not only a balanced but also objective account of investment conditions in each country, and each guide offers overview of the investment opportunities that are available in each country, and it highlights 3 or 4 areas of opportunities that exist. And also there is a presentation of the regulatory framework that impacts on foreign direct investment. Also these guides are also present a summary of the perceptions of the private sector, particularly foreign investors, because what we do, we go and make a survey with existing investors in the country to get their views on how they perceive the investment environment, the investment climate in that particular country where they are established. These guides are also endorsed at a national workshop by the public and private sector to ensure the acceptance and wide use. But right now we will proceed. We will have a special presentation of the conditions, opportunities, investment opportunities in Malaysia. For this reason, I would like to just say a few words about Malaysia. It's the first showcase we have this afternoon, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce it to you. As you know, Malaysia is located at the heart of Southeast Asia. Malaysia is a country on the move. It has gone from being dependent on agriculture and primary commodities to being the export-driven economy we know today, spurred by high technology, knowledge-based and capital-intensive industries. With me here on the podium, we have Mr. Azman Mahmoud, the Senior Director of Non-Resource Industry at the Malaysia Industrial Development Authority. And I'm very grateful to him for coming today, and would now like to call on him to present his country and his vision for how he sees the investment potential of Malaysia. I have also with me here Mr. Muhammad Ismail Abu Bakr, who is the Director and Council of Investment at the Malaysia Investment Development Authority. So please welcome them.
Good afternoon, and assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. I have probably about 40 slides to cover, so I think it's enough, 1 hour. given, but I am trying to go just to give you an overview of Malaysia, and then I will try to mention a number of with special focus on Eastern Corridor of Malaysia projects that we have actually done some feasibility studies and ready for negotiations. So let me start with the first slide. By the way, you know, MIDA is the investment authority and agency of the of Malaysia. Thank you. And we are the first point of contact for you to do business in Malaysia. We have a representation here in UAE, which cover the entire MENA region. I mean, Ismail is my colleague who is going to assist and facilitate your interest to go to Malaysia. My presentation will outline a number of key areas, as you can see on the screen, from the basic economic performance to know the country a little bit more, as well as some numbers and figures and recent and latest development of what is happening in Malaysia. You know, just to show you where Malaysia is and where UAE is. You know, the map there.
As you can see.
UAE is strategically quite located in this region, and Malaysia is very strategically located in the middle of 600 million population in ASEAN region, comprising about 10 countries.
You're going to miss.
This is the map of Malaysia. We have the peninsula of Malaysia. And we have the two states in the Kalimantan or Borneo Island. And the eastern corridor, you can see the peninsula on the right, where the Kelantan, Kota Baru, Terengganu, and also Kuantan, where the eastern corridor is located. Some numbers on the key indicators of Malaysia. We have about 330,000 square kilometers. Capital is Kuala Lumpur. About 28 million people. Contribution of inflation and GDP with per capita income about $8,000 US. Reserve is above 100 billion. Our currency is ringgit. A dollar is about 3 ringgit. And the composition of the GDP, as you can see, dominated by the services and manufacturing. We have been developing our manufacturing industry in the last 40 years. So from predominantly an agriculture-based economy, we have transformed the economy to manufacturing, which now contributes close to about 28% of the GDP. The other sector is the services sector, where it is about 57% of the GDP. Malaysia is a multi-religion, multi-ethnic population. Our strength, actually, it is in diversity. We have many races. Malay and indigenous are the majority, Chinese, Indian, and others. So we are located right in the middle of a market of, you know, that can look at India, China, and Indonesia. As you know, China, India, Indonesia has one of the biggest population combined in the world. So this is, you know, why Malaysia is so special, actually. As, the climate or the weather is actually, there's no winter, there's no summer. The whole year is summer. There's no winter, there's no spring in Malaysia. It's sunny and offer a lot of opportunities for sport, leisure, and family holidays. Infrastructure over the years we have developed to support our industries and also other services, from ports, roads, highways, hospitals, medical facilities, and all that. Of course, to be and to transform the economy, the government has spent a lot on infrastructure, from telecommunication and also transportation system. We have north-south highway and east-west highway. You can drive from the border of in northern region between at the Thailand border to actually Singapore within 5 to 6 hours without stopping. Of course, food, because of our multi-religion, multi-ethnic background, we have a representation of food from Chinese, Indonesia, Malay, Indian, and that represents the culture of ASEAN. It is also important that to note here, we have more than 30 international schools teaching a number of what we call curriculum from Canadian, American, British, Arabic in the heart of Kuala Lumpur and other cities throughout the country. And of course, we have been independent for more than at least 50 years. Multiracial, multicultural, multi-religion, and we have learned to live in harmony for the last 50 years. So that actually is our strength, and that makes Malaysia special in the heart of ASEAN region in a population of about 5 to 600 million people. Moving forward, this is the latest government initiative actually in the 10th Malaysia Plan, which is launched by the government for the period of 2011 to 2015, accompanied by the Special Economic Transformation Program and also Government Transformation Program. We have earmarked Malaysia to be a high-income country, and through this program that government has initiated, we have earmarked the country to be an effective government to facilitate business, where the cost of doing business is we will try to approve projects or permits within the shortest possible time. It is private sector led and government facilitates the business. And we have a specific initiative and projects to drive the economic transformation from now until the period of 2020. Now, to do that, we have conducted 12 main labs. We call it, new key economic areas, where we conducted labs involving more than 1,000 business people, government professionals, and all that are involved in the economy. And we have identified 12 key economic areas, ranging from tourism, business services, oil and gas, electronics. Malaysia is known for the manufacturing and export of electrical electronics. Over the last 40 years, we have developed infrastructures and also expertise in the electrical electronic sector, and this area will be further developed to strengthen and to generate the GNI for the country. Of course, the other area is oil and gas. Malaysia is a net exporter of oil and gas, as you all know, and over the years, Malaysian supply chain in oil and gas industry has developed expertise in this area and are ready to work with investors to go to other markets. Of course, education. There are about 40 to 50 private colleges and universities throughout the country. There are also about 20 public universities throughout the country. Foreign students, we have about every year 50,000 that came from Middle East, from India, China, Indonesia, and from Africa, Middle East, and India as well, and also countries around ASEAN. Healthcare, we have about 200 private hospitals providing medical and health tourism to what we call tourists and also local people. And every year, we have about at least 20 million visitors into Malaysia, and health and tourism sector is some of the areas that we are promoting. Of course, ICT, we have set up the multimedia super corridor in the last 15 years, and this will be further developed with more products and services in the ICT sector for Malaysia. Palm oil, traditionally we are one of the biggest exporter in the world, and the value-added products and services in oleochemicals and bioethanol and biofuels will be further developed. Agriculture, and also not to forget, because a lot of people talk about food security and manufacture of food products, which also include halal, halal industry. And Greater Kuala Lumpur will be transformed into a more livable city, whereby one of the iconic projects is the rail transport system that is now being developed and going to be launched in July this year. Investment in this area is at least $10 billion US dollars. And of course, the financial services will be further enhanced. As you know, Malaysia is a hub for the Islamic finance and banking. We are the largest sukuk issuer in the world. And over the years, we have developed the infrastructure and expertise to provide the services, and also what we call a hub for Islamic finance to grow. Now, all these 12 key economic areas, there are 131 entry point projects which we have identified, worth a total of $138 billion of investment. Out of these, 60 business opportunities will be created in addition to these 131 entry point projects, with total investment of $112 billion. And it is very important to know that 92% of this investment will come from the private sector. The balance of about 8% will be from the government, more of the facilitation, like infrastructure particularly, to facilitate all this investment to come. And of course, this will create an additional of 3.3 million quality jobs by 2020. Some representation of these 12 key economic areas and the growth engines, from oil and gas, financial services, to tourism, healthcare, agriculture, and others. Now, since October last year, we have announced about 72 EPPs. EPPs is the acronym for entry point projects, valued at about $34 billion of investment, which will create close to 300,000 jobs. So every month, the Prime Minister of Malaysia will announce those entry point projects that is going, or that has been earmarked to launch and to be invested at various stages. For example, in oil and gas industry, Shell has now announced the groundbreaking production in Port Dickson, and a few other projects like hotels in the heart of Kuala Lumpur, St. Regis, to build 5 or 6 stars hotel development, which is already under construction. So these are some of the examples. Now, Malaysia and MIDA traditionally is promoting the manufacturing, but now we have add on to our in our KPI that we will also promote the services sector. Let me highlight you some of the, first the manufacturing investment. In 2009, we have, these are approved manufacturing projects, 9.5 billion US dollars total. In 2010, we managed to get 15 billion, an increase of 61%. These are the areas, particularly electrical, electronics, basic metals, chemicals, non-metallic, and the rest. Major investors mainly are capital exporting country, led by USA, Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore, and Germany. And from the GCC 6 countries, we have approved about 1.2 billion US dollars in 33 projects. Some trade figures, Malaysia GCC bilateral trade is showing an increasing trend since 2005, and as at 2010, the total trade between these two regions is about 11 billion. Exports Malaysia to this region for UAE alone contributes about 70% of the GCC countries, and we import also as a major trading partner from UAE, which is about 45% in terms of share. So UAE in 2010 was the 15th largest trading partner, 14th largest export destination, and 15th largest source of imports. Notable companies from the GCC, I just want to highlight major companies from UAE like Mubadala, Global Gases, ADCB, Dubai Group, IFCO, just to name a few investments that are already in Malaysia. And Malaysian companies in this region, there are quite a number. These are the major ones. As far as the policies, for manufacturing industry, it is fully liberalized. Manufacturing license, we have gone to the stage for like an automatic approval for non-sensitive industries. In fact, for certain industries, we can approve this project within 2 days, 2 to 7 days. So it's very fast. And 100% ownership is allowed. And in terms of after you make profit, when you do repatriation, there's no approval required. It is almost, it is your investment, it is your profit, it's your dividend, you declare, and we don't have any restrictions on you. As far as incentive, very attractive. A lot of companies are enjoying this tax incentive in Malaysia, ranging from 70% to 100%, depending on the level of technology, the spin-off to the economy, and so on. And we have 2 types, the investment tax allowance and also pioneer status. You can choose depending on the type of investment. And after you have tax incentive is expired, we have a reinvestment allowance. All those profits that you make, all those dividends that you, cap in Malaysia, after a number of years, when you reinvest, 60% of your qualifying capital expenditure you can write off against your income tax. So all in all, for example, if you have for the first 5 years, you have tax exemption, this reinvestment allowance will be allowed for another 15 years. So in total, it is about 20 years. So most of the companies in Malaysia will enjoy about 20 years of tax incentive. And of course, to reduce cost of doing business, we will remove all these import duty and sales tax for products, components, machinery and equipment that is directly used in your projects. And we have done a lot of work on this. And this special task force is co-chaired by the Chief Secretary of the government and also the captains of industry representing the private sector. These are some of the improvements, like for starting a business in Malaysia. From 11 days, we have reduced it to 3 days. For every company in Malaysia will have one ID. There's a number, one number. So everywhere you go, you are identified as one identity. It's like, in your country, you have your own, ID. So the companies also, they have their own ID, as far as when dealing with government department and agencies. And we have a national single window for electronic system that enables and secured a safe and secured electronic exchange for trade-related documents. For example, customs, declaration and all that are done electronically through this improvement. Commercial courts, of course, there are any dispute. It used to be we don't have any specific court to address commercial cases. But now, we have a dedicated court to resolve commercial cases that, businessmen have dispute. Registering of property, it used to be 30 days. The land office, transfer of land properties and all that, from the old owner to the new owner, it used to be 30 days. Now, can be done within 1 day.